Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you've been well. I just got back from a little camping trip that I'll post that video probably in about a week after this one, honestly. So I was out camping with Talon, and while I was out, I filmed a video on the new iKamper Skycamp Mini 3.0. So this is a tent that's coming out super soon. I didn't film an intro out there, so this is kind of the intro, and then we'll kind of splice over to some of the footage out there while we were out camping that I filmed. Talon had an iKamper Skycamp 2.0 Mini, so it was a nice opportunity to kind of compare the 3.0 to the 2.0 and talk about some of the new things. So I'll kind of be splicing back and forth between that video and this video, and I realized I should probably just talk about the tent as a whole. I kind of focused out there on the new things, the updates, but in here in the driveway, I'm gonna talk about kind of the tent as a whole and then talk about some of the new things. So just bear with me. This video will kind of splice back and forth because I didn't have the foresight to talk about everything while I was out there. Sweet, so for starters, this is the iKamper Skycamp Mini, the 3.0 version. So this is gonna be out probably for pre-order, I think, within about a month of when I release this video. They're kind of launching at, I think, different dates. They're a global company. iKamper is a South Korean company, which is rad. I'm half Korean for those that don't know or have asked. I'm half Korean, so I like South Korean companies and South Korean products. It's different than a lot of tents and stuff are made in China. This is made in South Korea. I kind of want to take a trip out to their facilities at some point. I was going to take a trip out there right around when Corona happened and everything went on lockdown. So I'll probably reschedule that trip for later, but I've had a cool working relationship with iKamper for a while. Really cool company, a lot of cool guys there. Again, South Korean company. It's where they actually design, develop, and manufacture these tents. So that's super cool, sets them apart, and they're super innovative. So the Skycamp, when it first came out, now there's a lot of clones, a lot of copies and stuff of it, but when it first came out, it was really revolutionary. It was a hard shell tent that kind of doubled the footprint. And the reason that I like hard shell tents, I mean, I think they look better, they kind of flop around less, but the main thing is they're just way easier to set up. So setup on this takes about a minute. Tear down takes about a minute, minute and a half. You could do it a little quicker. It might take you a little longer if it's brand new to you. But that's one of the main things that I like about the hard shell tent. There's no zippers to mess around with, nothing like that. And it just works really well, especially on a shorter vehicle. If you have a shorter like Subaru or whatever, or if you have a short bed Tacoma, for instance, or a short bed any truck, the size of this works really well with that setup, like how I use it. So I'll show a couple things, then we'll jump over into the camping video. But there's one new thing out here where it's basically kind of like a rubber grommet pass-through. So if you wanted to mount other things or solar panel or whatever and run a wire into the tent, you don't have to do any drilling or anything like that anymore. They kind of come assembled essentially with this little pass through here. So that'll go up into kind of the mattress area. So if you want to run wires, or if you need to run wires from outside to inside, whether that's some power system you have or whatever, they kind of give you an allotment space for that. The new feet, which I'll talk about more in a second as well, these are redesigned. These are the 3.0 mounts, and they're basically lighter weight, kind of accommodate different size bars now. So they accommodate a taller bar as well as a wider bar, and they're a little bit more secure. The pass-through is up here. There's actually a cover plate that I didn't put on, but I'll put it on in a second to show you. So really cool setup. It's a little bit wonky. You'll have to use an extension basically to access the bolt up in here. So depending on your setup, it may be a little bit more difficult than the 2.0 mounts, but they're kind of an upgrade in most every way. And then one thing that's really hard to tell, I didn't really notice it, but the tent is now 1 inch taller, about 1 inch taller than the previous version. And the reason is because iKamper, this is actually, a lot of this tent is iKamper updates due to customer feedback. So it's really an update in a lot of ways from what people were kind of looking for and requesting. So that new about 1 inch taller now allows you to keep your bedding inside a little easier. So it'll allow it to close a little easier with a little bit of extra in there. What I don't have is they're releasing a new mattress system as well. And the new mattress system is basically kind of a self-inflating foam core type mattress that'll collapse even more and give you even more room inside. And that mattress, I tested it out at a show and it was really comfortable. So that'll be available as kind of an upgrade option as well. Cool, well let's go out camping and open this baby up. So one of the big updates on the 3.0 here is the closure mechanism. So this historically, and I'll show you, maybe once town's closed back up tomorrow morning, I'll grab some shots of his, but it used to be latched under here. So for someone like me, where it's right on this bar, actually for both of them, latching it underneath was kind of hard, or depending on how your roof rack was set up, getting the latch underneath was difficult. So they moved the latch to the outside now. So basically, you open that and this will unlatch from the front, which makes it way easier to access. For some people, it might not change anything for them at all, but for my setup and a lot of people's different roof rack setups, it will change. So the tent will come with 2 keys. I honestly always keep one key just right here in this little pocket in the back door. So I always have it, and then I keep the second key on kind of like a keychain that I have for backups and stuff that I need. Because if you get out there and you don't have the key, you can't open your tent, and that'll be kind of a pain. So basically, these keyed locks will open up, and then usually I'll just leave this one in there as it's open, so it's there and I don't have to fuss for it. So just get into a system of basically, my system is, once I'm done, I put the key right in here. You can find a system that works for you.
Now we're recording. Good.
Cool. So the iKamper Skycamp, this setup on the 3.0 is basically the same as the 2.0, other than the latches being a little bit different. But you'll just toss this up. We've oriented our trucks to where the hard side is facing the wind. So the wind is coming from this direction here. So that helps with wind noise at night. And then now this is kind of the area we're gonna hang out because our trucks are kind of blocking the wind. Little camping tip. So once it's up, you just pull out the ladder. I usually just pull it out all the way. I don't really care about hitting, but when you're putting this down, you can kind of pull it out to mitigate hitting there. And then you'll collapse at the top first until you get a nice flat portion. And there's some kind of halfway points you can use here. And then you get the ladder. Nothing like this. I see some people setting up their ladders like this. Don't do anything like that. So the iKamper's ladders are angled. So this is kind of flat once the ladder's at a proper angle. So you just kind of shoot for that and then get this to where it comes down about level. And then basically from here, you're set up. I'll pop a couple of these poles in for the rain fly, like how Talon's tent is set up there. That's basically the same. And then camp's set up. So it's pretty quick. As you're setting this up, there will be 6 poles total. So 2 for this side, 2 for this side, and then 2 for the front rain fly. I think I actually used the wrong one when I set it up camping, but you basically have 4 that are the longer hooks here, and then you have 2 that are the shorter hooks here. So obviously these 4 will go to your 2 and 2 on each side, and then these 2 right here will be used for the front rain fly. So then those poles will go in basically each side of the ladder here into these little holes and go into this little nylon pocket here. There is also this metal grommet that you can utilize different ones for if you're like zipping in an awning and stuff like that, but in your normal situation, you'll pop it right into these little nylon pockets, and that'll kind of cause it to open the widest. And then once those are in, you can slam these little guys in, and the purpose of this is just to kind of tighten this fabric around the edge. And this is a whole rain fly. You can actually take the whole rain fly off if you don't need it, or if you just want to open it up a little more. You know it's not going to rain, or it's the summer or whatever. That's kind of a removable feature. And then, so the floor of this, I didn't talk about it when we were all camping. This is a honeycomb aluminum, like super durable. I think they have some tests and stuff on their website where they drive like a Jeep over it and stuff. So super durable, very lightweight little setup right here. And then that back panel, this quilted panel, that's the hard shell. So that's the inside of the hard shell. So that's the side you're gonna wanna face towards the wind and everything because it'll be rigid. That is also, you can see it's quilted. That has a little bit of insulation on that side as well. So typically that is the side that you're gonna sleep your head at. Okay, so here it is, all opened up, and conveniently Talon's truck's next to me with the iKamper Skycamp 2.0. So this is the previous version, and this is the 3.0. So one of the most major differences you'll see out the gate is the color scheme. So I prefer this much better, as I'm guessing most of you do, versus the kind of dark navy gray, kind of maroonish, reddish, brownish color over here. Not a horrible color scheme, but this is much better in my opinion. If you like the dark grays, and it's all kind of dark gray, but obviously a little bit lighter gray, darker gray, like charcoal, nearly black, and even the logo is now a gray, and the logo on the rear is no longer chrome or anything like that. It's not brushed, but it's kind of a satin aluminum color versus the previous 2.0 looked like that. Another big difference is in the mounting brackets here. So these basically are clamped on here. Let me up the exposure a little bit. There's kind of rubber grips on the inside, and it accommodates a wider and taller crossbar now than their previous generation mounts. The previous generation mounts were like this, with the bolt going through on the bottom, and you tighten it that way. These, honestly, the 2.0 brackets are a little bit easier to get on than the 3.0 brackets if you have it over a bed cover. If it's on an SUV or on a rooftop, like a rooftop tent, this one won't be that bad, but basically the bolt that you tighten is in here. So you use this long tool or any kind of extension that you might have. But this is the tool they include. It's actually super long. So this basically goes into there. Sorry, I'm doing this and filming this myself, but basically that'll go into there so you can tighten it. Again, I think it's probably the same tool for the full size iKamper Skycamp as well as the Mini. This one's the Mini, and this handle goes in the back, and then you can tighten it up like that. Or you can use a standard extension if you have one that's long enough and will fit in there. I did. This is just an M5 or a 5. I believe it's a size 5 Allen metric. And then you can't steal it. Some of the problem, I think, I don't know how often it happened, honestly, but from what I've heard is technically you can cut this with a set of bolt cutters and people could steal your tent, I guess, if you're living somewhere kind of ghetto. So these are a little more secure. I didn't mean if you're living somewhere ghetto. If you're in an area that there's crime, I guess. And the inside looks pretty similar. Okay, so the inside will be similar. Gray on the inside, gray here. You got your map again, and the layout is honestly the same, and I believe the dimensions are the same as well. So when you're in here laying down, you got your sunroof or moonroof. You got your big opening down there. You got your opening over here, and you got your opening over here. Couple differences. The piston gas strut has a little plastic shield cover around it. These windows, the operation on them has changed. I'll show you that in a second. And then the mattress has changed. So I'll show you the mattress here. So the mattress is now kind of your egg crate style foam with a firmer foam layer on the bottom and Reflectix. This is the first night I'm sleeping in it, so we'll see if this helps with moisture or kind of maintaining heat in there a little bit. But those are the new mattresses, removable washable cover. When you put this thing up, that mattress kind of slides on top of the other mattress. and then it pulls over and kind of finishes it off over here. One other nice thing, a nice little convenience thing, is all of the poles now are in this little zipper compartment that is attached here. So this is just kind of tucks in here when your mattress is here. But it's nice because in the old tent, this was just its own kind of like, it was just wherever you wanted to throw it. And when you went to set up the tent, you kind of come up, climb up the ladders, you got to reach and find the poles. Now they're right here, because that's the first thing is I get in here, I open this up, and then I put on these poles right here. So it's nice that these are now here all the time, right at the entryway. So I believe the material on the Rainfly is new, kind of upgraded ripstop nylon as well. And I touched on it briefly, the new mattresses. So they're a little thicker overall. They're like 9-zone foam mattresses with that lower reflective foam layer, which is supposed to help with condensation. And as I showed in my camping video, it actually did. Usually I'll wake up and there's a bunch of different solutions you can do to like reduce condensation, like condensation mats and stuff like that. I never really used them. I don't like to bother with them. But usually when I wake up, it'll be a little bit moist under there just because you're breathing, especially if it's cold outside and then warmer inside. But this little part really helped because there was no condensation under the mattress, and that was like a first for me. So this was the first time sleeping in this one, so the new mattress system definitely helps for that. And again, this is kind of the base mattress that'll come with it no matter what, and you'll be able to update this or upgrade it to kind of the self-inflating one. And another update they did to the ladder, they beefed it up a little bit, so apparently it's a little bit more robust than the previous version. And this has a quick release mechanism now, so you can pull the pin out of here, out of each side. It's kind of spring held in place here, but you can pull that pin out of both sides, so that way you can actually remove them. So if you need to remove the ladder and you store the ladder separately or whatever, or maybe you want to pull the ladder out so you get a little more room in there to keep more bedding or something, it does have kind of basically this quick release feature here now. So I always keep it inside. I feel like if I didn't keep it inside, I'd probably forget it. I'd get out camping and be like, oh, I don't have the ladder. Interesting. And you do need to use the ladder, obviously, because the ladder, this is what basically supports this side more. So this is both the ladder as well as a support system to kind of bear the weight of this in here. So these outside window Rainflies are similar to the 1.0s in that you can just zip them down using this zipper to fully close them off, or you can prop them up with these. They did move the attachment points to the top, so when a lot of people in the roof will be putting these in from the inside, that'll be easier to identify the hole now, versus on the 2.0 here, they were underneath. So when you're setting them up from the outside, not too hard, but when you're setting them up from the up or inside, then kind of hard to find those. So they moved them to the top, and they changed this window up a little bit as well. I'll show you on the inside, but basically you don't kind of fasten this stuff down here. It kind of folds into itself, and then this whole top portion actually is sucked in with the pull cord. So I'll show you the outside on this one here. This is basically, these drawstrings will pull this up. There's this little guy here as well. So basically it'll be pulled up and scrunched up like that. So previously you just kind of had to roll that up. So with the new system, you have two pull cords with little tighteners here. So this is out with the poles right now, so I won't do it. But basically you pull this in and it'll pull that. It'll scrunch that in. So you see on this side, the one that I scrunched up already, that's pulled in all the way. So this is the excess. So I'm gonna show a few things here right now. So this is with the Rainfly closed, not staked out or anything like that. So this window basically is now fully closed if you need to batten down the hatches or whatever. And I really I always knew this window was here. I always knew you could access it from the tailgate, but I've kind of started using this window more to load my big fat dog in and out. So I'll get him up here on the tailgate, and then I'll hop up on the tailgate And it's easier to pick them up and put him in through this window here that I'll open up for you and show you in a second. But previously I would just kind of lug him up and down the ladder, which was kind of sketchy, kind of hard. I could do it, but if you're a smaller person with a 100-pound dog, that would be really hard. So if you have a truck setup, this is kind of the nice method. You just pick them up and put them right in through the window here. And then now the windows at the bottom, when you just want to close this one, it kind of folds into itself. So this, instead of kind of using this thing and scrunching it up, now it just kind of folds in nicely. So you have that little opening. And then when you want to open the mesh, it's obviously a separate zipper. I believe they changed the zipper ties as well to make less noise in the wind. You can then kind of wrinkle that up into that thing, or you can just kind of let it dangle outside or something if you want. So this window, I unzipped it now, so it's just kind of flopping. This would normally be hooked up into this grommet with a pole and be your rain fly. I'm gonna show you real quick, if I can, do this one-handed. The pull tab in here, you pull it, and it basically will pull that up. So it cinches up, and then you'll cinch up the other side. And so that'll basically pull up your tent. Sorry, the lighting I know is kind of crazy here. So then that's kind of an easier solution. You just pull these two straps on the inside, and you basically can open that window right up. So typically before, you'd have to kind of roll it up from the outside, and it was a little difficult. So this kind of makes it a little faster, and then you still have your center strap here to kind of tie it up even better. So then hopefully this will be a little more clear. You get your dog, you pick them up from your tailgate, and then you just load them right into the tent. Very easy. So same way getting your dog out, they can come over here, you just grab them and then set them down. So pro tip if you have dogs or whatever, that's kind of my new method of getting them in and out that I really like. And so this is the iKamper Skycamp Mini, which means it's like a 2-person tent, basically. You could sleep 2 adults and a small child, or 2 adults and a dog, or 2 adults and a couple small dogs or something, but it's not a super big tent in here like the Skycamp 2.0 full size or the Skycamp now 3.0 full size. That sleeps like a whole family. It's basically a king size bed inside, and you could sleep like 3 or 4 people. This one's really designed for 2 people plus a small thing. So this is inside the tent here. So this is your skylight. You can see out, obviously, all your stars and trees. This is a plastic covering here. And earlier I talked about the plastic going away from the windows. I guess I kind of asked them about it. They got some feedback that basically nobody really ever used those plastic windows. Though I honestly did from time to time. But basically, you'll just close this up. And this has both a screen and a blackout cover as well. I usually like the sun kind of coming in the morning to help wake me up. So I pretty much keep that baby open all the time. So you can see here, I'm getting a nice little suntan here. So head on the quilted side. This is also kind of the quieter side, helps with wind noise and whatnot. And then your feet down there. The other thing, again, if you have a setup like mine, this is the window that you were loading your dog into or whatever, tailgate down there. This is your main big window, which actually can open up even more if you want to take the rain fly off, or you can kind of unvelcro it and fold it up out of the way if you don't need it. I usually have the rain fly just as it is, standard like that, but you can take it off and it'll basically open up this whole thing to be, a much bigger view. And then out this window, I'll often, so this is the left side window as you're sitting in the tent. This side, I'll often just kind of use my roof rack as an extension of stuff. So sometimes if I have, these are kind of, I don't always have these Pelican cases up here, but you can kind of access stuff in here. If you pop it, you could climb out this window, out onto your roof rack if you want as well. So kind of a nice setup. Or you know what, if you were running dual iKamper Skycamp Minis, one on this rack, one on this rack, which I've actually done to transport them once, it would be kind of cool to run 2, because then it would be kind of like when Talon and I docked them. We could basically have a 2-bedroom tent here if you want. Granted, you'd have 2 tents on there, but if you got like a 4-person family, you're like, actually we'd prefer 2 separate spots, this would be kind of a good way to basically access one tent to the other. I've never done that. I'm just thinking about it right now, but that'd be kind of a cool, interesting setup. So like I mentioned earlier, one of my favorite parts about this tent is how easy it is to set up and take down. So these little dangly straps right here, you'll use to suck in the sides. I'll show you that in a second. So usually they're kind of like up here, up above it. Sometimes if they're down here, when you close it up, it kind of gets in the wrong path. So you can just put them up there, which is where they'll naturally be, like that one's on the other side. And then I usually bring the ladder up from the bottom, so you press these in and just kind of collapse, collapse, collapse. Depending on how short you are, how tall your setup is, this may be a little bit more difficult. It comes with a little ladder sleeve and you can like Velcro this thing closed. That's probably the proper way to do it, but I never do. I just put it up like that. So sometimes this main strap will get like caught behind here and you'll just need to pull it out. So this is the strap you use to close the tent down, and these are the straps you use to kind of help suck in the sides. So basically, you just pull that down, and then I'll usually kind of pull these a couple times to suck the sides in a little bit as I go. And then usually as a final step, you will have to manually kind of walk around and just kind of tuck the excess in there. That's why you want to leave a little bit of a gap in the front so you can access that. And that'll just ensure that it closes right and basically you don't have any fabric hanging out. Then you just kind of fold this junk up and kind of stuff it in here. That's what I do anyway. There may be technically a better way to do it, but you'll tuck that in and then you'll be able to just manually close it. And this is where if you have a bunch of bedding and a bunch of pillows and stuff in here, you may need to work a little harder on this, but as you can see right now, this will be fully closed. So then you'll just get one kind of over this little hook here. You get the other over the hook, and then you just pop it closed, and just like that, you're ready to go. So yeah, iKamper Skycamp 3.0. Again, this is the Mini. They have the full size. That's what I had on the Ford Tremor for a long time. So a couple options. There's a few other tents that are coming out soon as well, but this, maybe I'll talk about those in the future. For right now, 3.0. People are gonna ask, should you upgrade from a 2.0 to a 3.0? iKamper probably would tell you, yeah, go for it, because they'd like to sell more tents, I'm sure, just like any business. But if any of these changes are like game changers for you, then yeah, I would say you could upgrade from the 2.0 to the 3.0. These aren't cheap tents though, obviously. So probably if I had a 2.0, I wouldn't necessarily upgrade to the 3.0, like not a hard requirement necessarily, but the updates are very good. It's not just like a new colorway. I really like the new color, but it's a lot of really functional updates. So certainly the 3.0 is a nice update to the 2.0, but I'm never the kind of guy that says you gotta upgrade to the latest and greatest. So if you got a 2.0, man, enjoy it. But if you don't have a rooftop tent, or if you have something else that you're not too happy with, 3.0, definitely worth looking into. All right, iKamper did send this tent out to me. I've partnered with them for a long time. My truck's actually oftentimes in their booth at various events and stuff. So, but full disclosure, they sent it, but I love it. I love it no matter what. Sweet. All right, I'll link to stuff down in the video description below. And until next time, guys, take care.